Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, many, of course, have suspected that there's not much down the front of Humza Yousaf. Indeed, we call him the Ken doll of Scottish politics, because after all, he doesn't appear to have any balls. Certainly he has no spine either. He is rather a jellyfish when it comes to serious matters. But there's one matter that he does want to take a stance on, and that, of course, is Gaza and his hatred for Jews. But it appears that it's not necessarily all his own thoughts. It appears his wife is the one controlling him, telling him what to do, telling him what to say, and telling him what to think. And it's quite obvious when you think about it, his sudden stance, just because her parents, who come from Gaza, or at least her father does, being trapped out there, then all of a sudden it was the major issue of the day. His blatant anti-Semitism got a little boost unexpectedly, but mainly because of her pushing it. So we'll take a look to see why the First Minister of Scotland is actually being led a merry dance by some Dundee councillor who wants you to talk to lampposts. Here goes. So Humza Yousaf being led by his wife after he makes Palestinian lives are cheap claim. Well, they are cheap if you ask any other Muslim country in the area, because the Israelis don't want them, the Syrians don't want them, the Iraqis don't want them, the Iranians don't want them, and their claim that Jordan is from the river to the sea means the Jordan River, and so the Palestinians seem to think that Jordan is Palestine. But Jordan certainly doesn't want them. The last thing Jordan wants is anything to do with the Palestinians. For some reason, nobody wants them. So, in fact, ironically, the only people who actually do the Palestinians any good in terms of employment and giving them an economy is Israel. Isn't that ironic? Anyway, Nadia El-Sakla has described Israeli actions in Gaza as textbook genocide, although of course it's nothing of the sort. It's a term defined after the Holocaust saw 6 million Jews murdered by the Nazis. The Nats, although they're very hard to tell them apart. Humza Yousaf has been accused of being led by his wife after claiming his political opponents viewed Palestinian and Muslim lives as cheap. Only by other Muslims, though. The First Minister was quizzed on the crisis crisis in Gaza during the pre-recorded interview with the Laura Kuenssberg show on Sunday. Had to be pre-recorded. They wanted to control the narrative and they didn't want certain things coming out. It was very, very redacted interview. He daren't go down to London and speak the truth. Imagine if he said something and the truth came out. It'd be the end, wouldn't it? Anyway, asked if he believed people placed a different value on the lives of Muslims and Palestinians, he replied without a shadow of the doubt. But he's been accused of ignorance by the chair of the Scottish Jewish group. And I think it's ironic that he's saying, people without a doubt apply different values to the lives of the Palestinians. Certainly the Palestinians apply different values to the lives of the Jews, as indeed, of course, does Humza Yousaf, a man who supports Hamas. So, it's a bit weird that he's moaning that other people do exactly what he does. He doesn't count the Jews. He doesn't think the Jews are worthy. He belongs to a religion that wants to see the eradication of the Jews. And yet he says, isn't it a shame that everyone says the Palestinians are worthless? Well, it was the Palestinians who ran out there and started murdering innocent Jewish babies. So, yes, I suppose that there is that view. Sammy Stein from Glasgow Friends of Israel accused Mr Yousaf's wife, the Dundee councillor Nadia El-Nakla, of hijacking the term genocide to describe Israeli actions in the Palestinian enclave. Or exclave, should I say. Miss El-Nakla has a Palestinian father and has family in the Gaza Strip. They chose to live there. They chose to support Hamas. Everyone in Gaza supports Hamas. And if the Palestinians were not all as awful as they undoubtedly must be, then why does Egypt, a fellow Muslim country, have an even harsher border with Gaza than does Israel? Seems very weird, doesn't it? Mr Stein told the Scottish Express, in my view, and I believe the most rational people's view, is that all are equal and all deserve the same chances and opportunities in life. And if any lives have been considered less important, It's the lives of Jewish people, indeed, and especially by Muslims. This week is Holocaust Memorial Week, a time when we remember the 6 million Jewish people slaughtered by the bad boys, by the National Socialists and people like that, like such as, for example, the Nats. It's easy to describe this horrific fate of Jews in the word genocide, and that's why it was defined. He said the recent hijacking of this term by the FM's wife, speaking from Butte House no less, about the fate of suffering of people of Gaza, just highlights her ignorance and her belittling of Jewish people. And our FM continues to be led by his wife down this road of ignorance. Well, he has to be led by someone, because as we know, and as we say all the time here on the channel, he's not a leader. He's incapable of leading. So obviously his wife has to take his hand and lead him wherever he goes. He's like Sleepy Joe Biden, only not white and younger. But in terms of mental capacity, he's about the same, isn't he? Genocide was defined by the UN in the aftermath of the Second World War. It relates to acts committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethical, racial or religious group. It's much like what the Nats are trying to do to Scotland, to be honest, with the constant destruction of everything Scottish. Miss El Nakla has described Israel's response to Hamas attacks on 7th as textbook genocide. What did she think of the Hamas attacks on Israel? How did she describe them? Unfortunate? Or was she welcoming them? I suspect probably welcoming. Who knows? Mr. Yousaf said on Sunday, you take anybody who is Palestinian, people in the Muslim community, they feel that the Palestinian blood is very cheap. Well, he's got it there. He's actually said the words. People in the Muslim community, they feel that Palestinian blood is very cheap. Because the Muslims don't even like the bloody Palestinians. Nobody likes the Palestinians. Because they're uppity. Because they won't settle. They won't accept. They want more. They want to seek, through Hamas, the total eradication of Israel. And yet without Israel, they would starve. They would have no jobs, no work, nothing. Israel is the biggest employer of the Gazans. That's a fact. And yet they do this. Well, they don't deserve it. Why shouldn't Israel just close its border and say no? And if they want aid and food and good things, it can come through Egypt. They do have a border with Egypt, after all. Or it can come in off the sea. They have a port. Let them get on with it. Israel owes them nothing. Especially now, after what they've done. Anyway, this is a classic example, he said, of where I think nobody understands what Sir Keir Starmer stands for. Why has he not shown the appropriate leadership on the issue of Gaza? He says, I don't know how anybody can see that level of death and destruction and not call for an immediate halt and immediate ceasefire. Well, it's up to Hamas, isn't it? If the people of Gaza really want a ceasefire, I mean, if they really want one, they'll give the Israelis their hostages back and then hand over all the Hamas terrorists. If they don't do that, then they don't obviously want a ceasefire. Ball's in their court. Anyway, I shall stop, I shall come up and I shall finish. I think we can safely say he is being led by his wife. He's never had an original thought in his life, has he? Even now, he must get phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's Sturgeon going, do this, do that, you know. They used to say about Gove, and he used to have the little voice in his ear. Go on, Govey, do this. Well, Humza Yousaf is no different. Only his little voice is the little spectre of, a little miniature spectre of Nicola Sturgeon sitting on his shoulder going, go on, do this, do that, do this. Because he doesn't know what to do. And he obviously mishears her because the things he says and does are just completely bonkers. So it's like Chinese whispers, isn't it? Send 3 and 4pence. We're going to a dance. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I shall speak to you later. Bye.